What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode breakdown / review of the latest episode of Wandavision. This show is picking up very quickly, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm really glad it is, because the last couple of episodes were a bit episode 3 was much better, and this one is finally answering the questions that have been posed to us through these weekly releases. So we open with people seemingly coming back from the snap. You have Monica Rambeau, who is now confirmed to be Monica Rambeau, which we said in the last video we knew she would be Monica Rambeau. Where she comes back from the snap, you see her hand come back, and it's very clear that they're taking the snap a lot more seriously than what it was in Far From Home, where they called it the blip and they just kind of made a joke about it. I really appreciate when they actually took that seriously, because that was a massive event, and Far From Home just sort of, you know, joked about it as if it was nothing. It was a big event. We then learned that Monica Rambeau's mum, Maria, had died 3 years ago. So we learned that Monica was actually snapped away in the snap. So she got snapped away. 2 years after that, the mum died, and then 3 years passed before Monica then came back. So she's coming back into this world, and you see other people sort of come back from the snap, which was, again, really interesting. I love how they tied that back into Marvel. I think this is where the show can really shine, just by tying things back in. We then also see a picture of Maria Photon Rambeau, which is a bit of a callback to the first Captain Marvel movie, which again, I appreciated that as well. Now, Maria was actually recruited by her acting director, Tyler, I think his name was, to only do terrestrial cases only. So she was put on a missing persons case, which just so happened to be the missing case of Wanda. Monica then drives, and then we see Jimmy Woo, who finally is able to do that little magic trick with the card appears. In past movies, he tried it and the cards just fumble, but in this one, he actually gets it. Insane character development, I love it. So him and Monica have a conversation, and they talk about how people around the area, you know, they just have selective amnesia. This town doesn't exist, but they, for some reason, can actually see that something's going wrong. The local police around there say they're from Eastview and that the town doesn't exist and all that sort of stuff. So again, something very weird is going on, which only just adds to the more questions that we already have. They then send in a helicopter and drone, which then ties back to the first couple of episodes where Wanda actually finds that red and yellow helicopter. I think it was in the first episode, but it had the sword logo on it. Now, the one that they send in is different to the one that Wanda finds, but as we see throughout the episode, things change to fit the current universe. So when the guy in the hazmat suit goes in, he comes out a beekeeper. The cord that was attached to him, once it passes that threshold, it turns into a very old school sort of skipping rope. So things like that start to change as they go in. Again, that was a really interesting touch, and I really like that sort of creativity. We then get introduced to Darcy, and she obviously returns from, you know, being back in Thor and a couple of other movies, I think. If you're a fan of her, great. The whole episode is basically based on her and her findings, so she's able to go ahead and identify wavelengths in some sort of code or whatever they said, and she was able to understand that by looking at that frequency and the broadcast frequency, she was able to actually get an image on an old school TV. That's where Saw was able to actually watch the episodes of Wanda and actually see what was going in and get a glimpse into this new reality. Now, there is this picture that I was able to grab while I was watching it with Jimmy Woo on there, just basically going through the whiteboard and looking at the questions that we ourselves as the audience would have. So things like, why is everything hexagonal? I think there's a 5-mile radius around this new reality. Questions of, is Vision alive? Even one suggesting that it could be Skrulls, ? So these are all theories that some people have thrown up as well. So it's really good to see that the show is on the same track as their fans. It means that it's leading us down the right way, and we're thinking the way that we should to go down with the show. We're then taken back to the last scene of episode 3, where Monica and Wanda have the altercation. Wanda says, "You're not my friend, you're not my neighbor, you're an outsider. You're trespassing and I want you to leave." Monica then gets pushed through the wall, through a fence, through another wall, and just keeps going until she gets pushed out. Very similar to the footage that we see in the original trailer. They didn't include that in the third episode, but they included it in this one, which I thought was a bit weird. I'm like, why didn't they include that? But It's here in this one, it makes its appearance, but she gets smashed through a whole bunch of walls, which I found kind of weird because at this time, Vision was outside talking to Herb and Agnes. So I'm not too sure how he couldn't hear that or see that, but hey, it's a thing. Now, one thing that did scare the shit out of me was when Vision came back in, Wanda turned around and saw just dead Vision. The white eyes, the grey kind of skin, the hole in his head where Thanos ripped out his Mind Stone. I think that was great, and this is where the show starts really picking up. Again, it's kind of formulaic where the last few minutes of the episodes are really, really interesting and keeps you sort of coming back for more. But I think that's a great sort of twist or a bit of a jump scare, which I think they really should go in and focus on because that's what's going to make the show really, really interesting. It's also very clear that the memories are slowly coming back to Wanda, that her new reality is breaking down, that things that happened in the past are now coming back and she needs to confront them. When Monica lands outside and all the sword agents come, she does say that this is all Wanda. So what I think happens with this, people have theorized that it's, Agnes might be a witch or it might be Mephisto, but now that Monica is saying that it's all Wanda, I do think, as I've been saying for the last couple of videos on this, that it is a PTSD response to what has happened. There was a credit scene that was meant to happen where Wanda steals Vision's body, so I think she's just manipulating the body in her new reality. That partnered with the fact that the people in this reality seem to be real people taken, because this was a thing that was put up on the whiteboard as well. Everyone in this reality is a missing person's case. So they go through and say, this person's playing that character, this person's playing that character. These are all missing persons cases. So Wanda has grabbed real people and pulled them into this reality, and we see that they pulled in because Monica just gets like yanked in. We see that. So I think Wanda is having a PTSD response. She's creating her own world that she can control, where she can be happy with Vision and just try to stay away from what's actually happened in reality. I think that's what I think is going on. But I really, really enjoyed this episode. I think this is where the show is really going to start to pick up. I do think the show kind of suffered by having a weekly release, given the fact that the first 2 episodes were very, very slow for a lot of people. And the third one was like teetering on, okay, this is okay if you just sort of take it on face value. The fourth one I really, really appreciated because it's actually probably the most story-driven episode that we've had so far. It starts to answer the questions. It starts tying everything back into what we've already seen. So again, I really, really do appreciate that. And now it's got me very, very interested in what is going to happen. So with this one, I'd probably give this one about a 7 out of 10. It's definitely getting better. And I'm looking forward to what happens, and I'm looking forward to how this ties into Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And it has been confirmed apparently that this show takes place before the events of Far From Home as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where this finishes up in terms of the MCU timeline. But hey, I'm interested, I'm locked in, we're going to finish off the season. But do let me know your thoughts, your theories, any Easter eggs that you saw. There definitely were more sword Easter eggs and all that sort of stuff in this episode. But if you do like the video, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, leave all your theories in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye.